Accredited by Guinness World Records, welcome to Archival Television Audio Incorporated, a peerless TV soundtrack archive, preserving the audio from television's first 3 decades, the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the golden and silver age of television.
Now, stay tuned for that great Sunday spectacular, the Sunday Sports Huddle.
It's Sunday evening, and this is BZ's Sports Huddle. Any reproduction during this program without the express consent of the Sports Huddle is prohibited. Autographed team pictures of the Big Bad Bruins drinking champagne from a giant Dixie cup, emblematic of Stanley Cup elimination, will soon be available with each and every new subscription to Dynasty, the official magazine of the New York Knickerbockers. The formation of a new advertising agency by Don Nelson, Tom Tracy, Herb Adderley, Wes Unseld, Earl Monroe, Bernie Jeffrion, and Mike Epstein will be known as Dynamite, Bomb, Cannonball, Bullets, Boom Boom, and Epstein.
In tonight's performance of the Sports Huddle, the part of Rudy Valley as a young man was played by Bruins coach Tom Johnson.
Tonight's mystery sporting term was, we hate to see Harry Sinden leave our organization, but please be assured Mr. Sinden's departure had nothing to do with money. Since no caller got it, $50 will be removed from a giant jackpot and donated to the committee to give financial assistance to those scalpers who speculated large sums of money for playoff games 5 through 10. Red Auerbach's latest bestseller, I was really impressed with Clarence Glover's ability and potential until we found out how much dough he wanted, has moved on to the best-selling list, replacing Boston Globe basketball writer Bob Ryan's book, Cheney and Dimwitty Mean an NBA Championship.
During a recent survey conducted by the Sports Huddle Statistical Department of the 40,000 Patriots season ticket holders, it was discovered that 39,600 have suicidal tendencies, while the other 400 merely enjoy Foxborough in the autumn.
Network Ned Foster produced tonight's Sports Huddle show while trying to determine the emotional impact the Derek Sanderson TV show has had on peace workers in East Boston. The Boston Red Sox Vice President's Club has announced that the first home game Tom Yawkey attends at Fenway Park this summer, all fans bringing a Boll Weevil or an autographed picture of Scarlett O'Hara to any gate on Lansdowne Street will be admitted free as a tribute to Southern hospitality.
Channel 40-2 has announced that this summer's programming, in addition to the highlights of the Bruins Stanley Cup elimination, will also have a new 3-hour nightly hockey show entitled The Best Poke Checks of the 68-69 Pittsburgh Penguins.
And be sure and tune in the Sports Huddle next Sunday evening at who knows when that sensational new rock group Upton Bell and the Ding Dongers will make their Boston radio debut. The first hour of the Sports Huddle is brought to you by Yokin's, the sporting man's restaurant, to treat his family to a great meal. L.B. Darling Company, makers of Darling's delicious meat products at fine food stores everywhere. State Properties of New England, the name behind the names you know, and Natick Mall, where 35 friends have taken the pledge to pamper you in springtime comfort. And this is the Sports Huddle, and my name is Eddie Andelman, along with Jim McCarthy and the gorgeous Mark Witkin. Special guest tonight, while the Patriots general manager, Upton Bell. And to be honest with you, fans, the Sports Huddle a lot of times has been critical and sarcastic to a lot of people, but what can you say about Upton Bell? Because evidently he came here and saw a lot of problems that existed on the Patriots, and he's done quite a bit about it in a positive nature so far. And he also assured me before the show that nobody has to worry about wearing a snowsuit to the new stadium next year, that all seats are going to be cleared of snow if Upton has to do it himself. And Upton, first of all, on behalf of all the fans of New England, welcome to Boston, and especially on behalf of the Sports Huddle.
Thank you, Eddie. It's a pleasure to be here in sports version of Laugh-In, and I'm certainly going to enjoy this show tonight.
Well, I think you're going to find out. We've got some pretty hip callers out there, and they really know their football. And I think that, first of all, it's amazing that the Patriots have got 42,000 season ticket holders. I'm one of those people from Maine. I'm going to have to see them in the stands before I believe it. But if they do, it's certainly a great tribute to the New England fans because, with our first draft choice, I think it says it all. We were the worst team in football last year.
Well, this happens, Eddie. Actually, every team has their downs, and I don't think that everybody likes to rap today. Today is the day of rapping. And I think that the Patriots, were in the race a couple of times, and a lot of people tend to forget it's like a great athlete. He's on his last legs, and nobody ever remembers what he did in the past. I think it is a tribute to the Patriots and to the fans of New England that we have been able to sell 42,000 seats, and hopefully we'll sell over 50.
Upton, since we just met, I have to tell you this, that probably the biggest kick, or one of the bigger kicks, let's put it that way, that I've gotten out of sports was when the Jets really took Baltimore over the coals, and was it 68, I guess it was. I think it thrilled a lot of us, and I know you were very big with Baltimore that year, and I think the thing that really tickled us most was when Namath told, was it Lou Michaels at the time? Whatever he told him.
A couple of days before the ball game.
Yeah.
Actually, that game, a lot of people don't realize, what happens, the Colts beat, of course, the Browns in the championship game, and the newspaper people, the radio, television media started calling us one of the greatest teams of all time, which is one of the worst things that can happen to a team.
I think the Bruins will attest to that.
I'm not going to get involved in that, but actually, I think we went down there with the wrong attitude. When I was with the Colts, it was kind of relaxed, and of course, the players thought that it was going to be a fairly easy victory. And in my opinion, of course, Joe Namath is one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen. And when we went into that ball game, the Colts had many chances, actually, in the first half to win the ball game and to put it out of reach, but for some reason or another, the ball would bounce in the air, we'd fumble when we get down near the goal line, and it's like a guy playing Arnold Palmer. He plays him for something like 16 holes and then realizes he can't beat him at the end, and then all of a sudden panics and we lose the ball game. But I remember the losers' party very, very well. It went on till 6 o'clock in the morning.
Upton, I've been feeling very happy about some of the things been happening with the Patriots, mainly the additions to the scouting department. I think we've said all along on this show that the Patriots last year and a couple years before that just couldn't compete with a lot of the teams because they didn't have the scouting that other teams did. And we never got a definitive answer from the Patriots organization, and it was hard even when Mr. Sullivan was on this program. We had a very, very nice time with him, but I never could figure out exactly how many scouts they did have. How many scouts, full-time scouts, should a team have?
Well, my belief is if you have the money to spend, as many as possible. Actually, we're in a scouting group now, and we will get a lot of information. In fact, I think we had 10,000 reports last year on seniors alone in SEPO. But again, my feeling is that the people on your club have to go out and check what the other scouts are saying. You certainly wouldn't read a script or read a newspaper without checking it beforehand. And I think it's darn important. Right now, we hope to have 3 full-time scouts along with Bucko Kilroy, our director of player personnel, because we want to crisscross the country. I'm still going to go out myself, in fact, and look at ball players next year.
Well, how many does Dallas have? And how many does Cincinnati have under Paul Brown? Because he's supposed to have the epitome of the great football organization.
Well, I don't know. Paul has done a great job. I wouldn't say they're the epitome of the great sports organization. Every club decides the way they want to go. For instance, now Oakland has managed with part-time scouts and a couple of full-time scouts to have some pretty good drafts. So is Cincinnati. I think that they have Pete Brown, who's their director of player personnel, and Doug Hafner, who's his assistant, and they rely on their coaches a lot. But it's my belief today that the coaches have so much to do year-round, and the game is so competitive and it changes so many times, that you have to have your scouting department alone do the job and then have your head coach in there with your general manager and your scouts to make the final decisions. But any time that one organization or one part of your organization tries to do the other department's job, I think you have problems, and I think that's what has come to in scouting.
Upton, I have to interrupt here for a word from one of our sponsors. But first, I'd just like to, I've been taking a survey all week. Have you ever eaten Digby Bay smelts?
No, I don't think I have, and I don't think I care to smell it either.
Well, that makes 2 of us. I want to tell you about one of our sponsors since you're new in New England, and that's Yokins. And all the fans know that Yokins is located on Route 1 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Route 1 in Danvers, Mass. And Yokins is a family restaurant, open every single day from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. I should say every single day because they're closed Monday. They're open Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. And as they do every week, Yokins always has a sports tribute special all day Thursday. And this week it's a tribute to the Boston Patriots 1970 offensive line. You go into...
Maybe this is unusual, I'm not sure. But it seems that you came to the Patriots pretty nearly after, very close upon the season ending. And I thought it was sort of unusual that they would pick the coach first and give him a contract and then sign the general manager. Wouldn't that be one of the prerogatives of a new general manager to be able to pick the coach that he wanted?
Well, actually, yes, in some cases, but Johnny Mazur, I think that they felt, and actually, it's like looking for people, like we were looking for scouts and a director of player personnel. It's whenever you can get them. Maybe I wasn't available at that time. We were still drafting, and of course, if they were interested in me at that time, they still couldn't get permission until after the draft was over, which was almost the end of January. And they had to do something with a coach before then. So I agree with what they did, and I think John Mazur should have a chance.
Upton, is it true you have a better contract than Jim Nance?
I haven't looked at my own contract.
Well, we also want to tell all the callers to the Sports Huddle, the phone number, 254-5678, area code 617. Tonight's call-in question, the same as the last 2 weeks. Which great ex-athlete had a nickname with the initials HH? And if you know that, well, you're going to win yourself an official WBZ Sports Huddle sweatshirt. Compliments of Ken Moore Stationers right opposite BU. Okay? 254-5678 is the number. And you're first tonight on the Sports Huddle and WBZ.
Eddie.
Yes.
Have you heard the new wrestling card for May 15th at the Garden?
Is that the one with Blackjack Mulligan and Pedro Morales?
Yeah, but...
No, I haven't.
Well, another fight that's going on then. Dick the Bulldog Brower is fighting Chief J. Strongbow.
Well, it ought to be a match that'll capture the sporting imagination of the entire world.
Yeah, Bulldog will kill him.
That's right.
What is the story on the New York Giants banquet you're having?
Well, I don't think I'll tell you that. And, you know, there's so many people here that hate the New York Giants in New England. It's really incredible. And what started off sort of as a joke, the Patriots were so bad last year that you couldn't get any pleasure watching them, so we sort of got our kicks watching the Giants get licked. In other words, the momentum build up. Everybody, all the Giants fans came out of the woodwork, said that the Giants had a chance to win it, and of course we all were waiting for the Rams game, and then pow, 31-3. And we all got a warm, emotional feeling about that game, and then we suddenly got thousands of calls. People really do hate the Giants. They hate them.
Well, we hope that they can be our fans, and as I told you coming in here tonight, that we hope the day that comes here that when we start really winning and are very, very competitive, that stands will be filled with people from all New England and be able to run trains up from Hartford, Connecticut, and right around Giant territory, because we'll take all the fans we can get.
Okay?
Yeah, and also, Eddie, when's your TV special going on?
Gee, I don't know. We got to wait till after Superfoot because we're starting 3 trips to England in the next 2 weeks. So we've just had to delay everything.
Oh.
But you'll be able to see all 3 of our gorgeous bodies on television shortly.
Okay, I can't wait.
So long.
So long.
That kind of kid.
You know, Upton, I don't think that the fans and the 40,000, 42, whatever you have, season ticket holders are really looking for you to have a fantastic season this year because it's going to be almost impossible with the schedule. I can't see how you can do it. It'll be a miracle. But I think if you give them a good ball game, that's really all they're looking for, because the end of last year, after the Giants game, or starting with the Giants game, it was all downhill, and there were some guys on that team who were giving 300% and doing the job for some of their comrades, let's put it that way.
Yeah, who was doing 300%, Jim?
Well, there were several, and you know it as well as I do, and there were several giving maybe 25%, and that was the problem. And those are the ones we saw, and I think if the people get a good ball game, you're going to find a lot of happy people, because I don't think anybody really expects them to knock over.
Well, I think one thing is you have to learn how to win first and win consistently before you talk about Super Bowl. And as I was telling Eddie earlier here tonight, I'm going to look at the situation as John Mazur will all over again. In other words, everybody will have to prove themselves all over again because we want to go into that season. I think it's poor to say to a football player who is used to being disciplined and his only thing should be to win, to say, well, as long as you're competitive. I don't think you can ever tell a professional football player, well, we'll be happy if you're just competitive. Damn it, I won't be happy unless we win every ball game. And neither will the coach, and neither should be the players. Certainly, you got to look at it realistically. It's a very, very tough schedule. But if we come through next year and play good football, and we have a couple of good drafts, and then we're set for the future. Because as I said, it's very, very easy to learn how to lose. It's difficult to learn how to win. One of the big things I think that they had at the Colts, we did not have a great team last year. They won because they played together. They were used to winning. It's a tradition. It's a tradition with the Packers. And that's the type of tradition I want here with the Patriots.
Can you get back our first draft choice for next year? Because what good is finishing?
What good is finishing? Three of you guys, maybe we could.
Yeah, but what are we going to do with? We're going to finish probably last again this year, and we don't have a draft choice.
Yeah, but Eddie, I really, Upton is here. I can't really say how we can sit here and say you're going to finish last. He just told you that they're going in and try to win every game. Now I realize
I'm not saying that, but I'm also trying to be very practical, Judge.
No, you're being negative, Eddie. And that's one of the big problems in not only in football but in life today. Everybody wants to be negative. You've got to think positively, or you'll go nuts. And especially in this game, I would never want our club, the people in our front office, all the way down to the water boy. The minute that you start thinking negatively, the minute it's just like anything else, and this is no rap against newspapers or anything. It becomes part of your thinking. If you continually hear all these negative things, the snow in Harvard, the football team didn't do well, people quit. Well, hell, our guys pick up that paper, they read it, and even the young guys. I would hate to have our young guys come in here and read all these things all the time. And naturally, it's got to be in the paper, but because it's news. Hey, but the big thing is you can't continually say, I know I never will. I don't believe in a negative type of thing. And I understand your fellas' jobs and people who follow the team, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to see it. I just soon destroy the newspaper than to see a boy pick that thing up every day and read it and make it part of his memory.
Yeah, well, that might be so, and I can feel for it. But on the other hand, opposition here, when we call it like we see it, I listen, believe me when I tell you, I'd love to see the Patriots have a 50-50 season. I'd be the happiest guy in the world. But I look at the schedule, and I'm a realist, and I also know they're trying to break in some new guys, and I also know, as the program goes along, perhaps there are some positions that they're the weakest in football. So I can only say right now, I might be a negative thinker, but I say that if they win 2 or 3 games, I'll be the happiest guy on earth. That's the way I feel.
I agree with you that if you look at the thing realistically, looking at it from your standpoint, anybody can say that. I'm a realist myself. I dislike people who exaggerate or say, geez, we're going to do the whole thing. Just like I told you earlier, you can't say we're going to come out and win the Super Bowl next year, because it's a way of learning. It's a process of learning. It's like teaching a child. You can't teach him to do everything right first until he learns what he did wrong. The same way with your football team. You have to learn how to win gradually. And I think this club, and one of the biggest things going for this club is a guy like Joe Cap and a guy like Plunkett coming here, because Cap is infectious to a football team. He's a leader, and you need a leader. You look at every club, and all of them have one great leader. And I think Cap's the type of leader that we have here.
Well, behind every name you know, there's a name you don't know. And State Properties of New England is a real estate management and development company. They do their work behind the scenes, finding and developing the best locations for companies with names you do know. Names like Park Davis, National Cash Register, Leachmere Sales, and Ann and Hope. You'll be shopping with State Properties, eating with them, working with them, yes, and even sleeping with them, because State Properties is developing office parks, industrial parks, shopping centers, apartment complexes, nursing homes, and even a brand new Colonial Hilton Inn. It's a wide range of experience, and that's exactly their strength. So if you're looking for the best place to locate your office, your store, or even your company, or if you're a real estate broker with an interested client, take our advice and get in touch with the people at State Properties. You can reach them in Boston at 426-2323. That's 426-2323. If you can't remember their name, you should at least try to remember their number. State Properties of New England.
You're next on WBZ with the Sports Huddle.
Who's speaking?
This is Jim.
This is the first time calling from Collinsville, North Carolina.
How are you?
Pretty good.
How could I tell you we're from North Carolina?
Sir?
Yes.
My first call is not about the Patriots. Is that all right if I talk something not about the Patriots?
What's it going to be about?
The ABA.
Okay.
I'd like to know if you think the ABA is better than the ABA in players.
Well, they have some pretty good ball players, but I don't think they're better than the NBA.
Yeah, well, I see, I'm from North Carolina, and this is ABA country down here. We got the Cougars.
That's right.
The Cougars down here.
That's right. Good ball club.
And we drafted Clarence Glover, too.
I don't think you're going to get him.
Well, he's down here this weekend.
He is?
Yeah.
Does Auerbach
know? Room with you?
What?
Does Auerbach know this?
I don't know.
Hey, you're not Clarence Glover trying to push yourself, are you?
No. See, you know who Carl Shear is?
No.
Well, he's general manager of the Cougars.
Yeah.
And he's down there. You know, we drafted Jim McDaniels, too.
Yeah.
And we signed him, and we're in the feud right now with Utah over him.
Right. Well, I think one of the reasons you're having trouble signing players is they can't understand what you're saying.
Sir?
I say one of the troubles you're having signing players is they can't understand what you're saying.
Well, I don't... But I just like to tell you that I think the ABA is a lot better than the NBA.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion.
Well, and I like to talk about wrestling for a minute.
Yes.
Are you the wrestling fan?
We're all wrestling fans, except Upton Bell.
Have you ever heard of Rip Hawkins, Sweet Handsome?
Yes.
Well, they the Atlantic Coast Conference champions down here.
Right.
And I think they're a great team, and they got a manager now.
Well, we love them in Boston. There's many fan clubs.
Well, that's it. And I want to tell some people that's listening that any coop that thinks the NBA is better than the ABA is just out of their head.
Okay, you all.
Okay, bye.
So long.
All right, you're next on the Sports Huddle.
Hello?
Yes.
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Hi, can I talk to Upton Bell?
Go ahead.
Hello, is this Upton Bell?
Yes.
I have season tickets to the Patriots, and I realized they weren't that great of a team, but they always tried, but they always started off quick. They had great momentum in the first and second quarters, but they come out second half and they look dead. I mean, why do you think that was it?
Especially in the Cincinnati game.
Why do you think that was it?
Well, sometimes I can remember back to the Packers in their great years, and they would come out and play, for instance, the Colts on even terms, and then in the third and fourth quarter, especially the fourth quarter, the Colts would be dead, and the Packers would still be coming on. I think that's one of the big things is conditioning, and of course having the manpower. Now, when the Packers and, for instance, the Colts were great, or the Cowboys, as I said the other night on a show, that you have to have people that can step in and play just as well as your front liners. And if you don't have the people that can step in and play when a guy gets hurt or needs a blow, then you're in trouble. I think that might have happened to the Patriots, that they put so much out with their front liners, and of course it is a game of condition, and it is a game just like pro basketball now. You need 8, 9, 10 men to play. And if you don't have people to step in there that can play just as well as your front liners, keep up the efficiency, in that third and fourth quarter you're going to die. And that's one of the big things that we want to do here, is to build up the second team. Actually, there is no second team anymore in most sports because it's so physically demanding. When you play 20-some football games, it's the team that has the most depth that's going to win. And I think in the case of the Patriots, where they played a lot of good football teams again this year, it's murderous, the teams that we're going to play. I think 4 of them were in the semifinals and finals of the NFL championship last year, the Super Bowl. They just begin to wear you down in that second half. And if you don't have people to put in there to replace your frontliners when they get hurt or when they get tired, and you don't have the same type of efficiency, they're just going to run over you. So I think that's one of the big problems here. Okay?
Yeah, I was wondering something else. Kyle Garrett, at the beginning of the season, he was, really cocky. You know, he came out there a couple minutes later than everyone else, and he was smiling. He started talking to all the fans. He threw me a football opening game. And, I asked him for his autograph, and he said, sure, it'd be my pleasure. Could this be he had lousy seasons. He didn't even have a fair season. He just was no good. I mean, is this because he's cocky, or is it just he was a lucky beginner?
Well, I don't know Carl Garrett that well yet. I plan to know all our players very, very well. But actually, Carl had a great year as a rookie, one of the best years maybe any rookie has ever had. And sometimes, you come off a great year like that, and maybe you continually think you're going to do it the second year, and you would have a sophomore jinx. A lot of times, what seems on the outside like a person is very, very cocky, and then they come into their second year maybe and have a few bad breaks or don't have good games, and they lose that cockiness they had before and almost get a complex about it. And sometimes that ends up him looking like a wiseacre. So it's very, very difficult. There's a lot to the mental part of football. Although it's a very, very tough game, a very physically demanding game, it's always also a very mentally demanding game. And if you get your confidence up and you get it up a little bit at a time, that's fine. It's just like winning. But if you come in and you have that great year, then all of a sudden you expect to have a real great year your second year, and something happens that you don't, mentally that can affect you. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we got to get on to some other callers. We have a station break coming up. I know you don't want to miss.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
So long.
The spirit of 103 WBZ.
The Spirit of New England, WBZ Boston, Group W, Westinghouse Broadcasting.
All right, you're next on the Sports Huddle on WBZ.
Yes, this is Sports Huddle.
Yes.
I'm calling from Newton, as a matter of fact, not from North Carolina or anything. And I would like to talk to Upton Bell.
Go ahead.
I was very upset last fall. I'm a big Patriots fan and a confirmed New York Giant hater. And I went to school. I graduated from a college in New York where the New York Giants practice in the fall. And it seems when the Giants were training there, all the practices were open to the fans. They could come down and watch their team play and practice, even talk to the players. It was that open. And I happened to come home on vacation once. As a matter of fact, the day that Joe Kapp was signed by the Patriots, and he was working out, it was a Friday at Curry College. And I decided that I was going to go down there and just see Joe Kapp. And as soon as I got down there, I was kicked out. And there were no fans allowed to watch the practice. And it made me very upset because this is a professional team. It's our team. And yet we can't watch them practice. And maybe I can see why, because when I went down to Curry College and I saw these antiquated facilities, like it wasn't even a football field. It was like an open lot. And there was like one disheveled goalpost. And I really don't think it's really a professional organization where the fans can't have to watch from a quarter of a mile away the team practice.
Well, see, this is what happens when, of course, you start losing and people jump on everything. I'm going to tell you something. In most professional football clubs, they will not permit you to watch practice during the week, during the regular season. And there is a reason why, because if you remember the big problem in Sports Illustrated between Dallas and L.A. before their big ball game where they supposedly had a spy up in the tree. In fact, I was asking Bucko about that the other day. And
you're not going to send Bucko up in the tree, are you?
No, he would fall off very easily.
Sequoia.
But actually, anytime, for instance, when Weeb Eubank or Don Shula at the Colts, we wouldn't permit anybody in to watch our practices because you just don't know. There was supposedly a practice at one time where some pro teams would send high school coaches around supposedly to observe your practices, and actually they were on the payroll of other teams looking for cuts or different formations or things like that. So you will find, I would say, in at least 20 out of the 26 teams, if not all of them, where they do not permit anybody in during the week. Now, usually on Tuesday it isn't as bad because it's a loosening up period. Practice is only an hour, but from Wednesday to Friday, when you're putting your game plans in, I know certainly if I was a coach, I'd want to know who's coming to my practices, and I would have a very, very strict guard around it. So don't think that the Patriots are doing this because that they're any different from anybody else. Every pro team has strict regulations, and I certainly would demand it myself.
Maybe that's why the Giants couldn't beat the Rams, because everybody knew what they were going to do.
Listen, and besides, who in their right mind would want to go see the Giants anyway?
Hey, Eddie.
What?
I'd like to ask you a question about horse racing.
Yes.
Seeing as how the Kentucky Derby is next week.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
Wouldn't it be nice, I've never heard on the sports show, like, if you could call maybe a trainer or a jockey, because most people who follow horse racing, I don't think they know exactly what a trainer does or how a jockey sees a race that's coming up. You can maybe call one of the jockeys that has a mount in the Derby and see what he feels.
Okay, Network Ned, why don't you see if you can call Churchill Downs and arrange something? Tell him that it's Alfred Gwynn Andelman calling.
And I would like to take offense at last week when you made mention of the fact that you didn't think that James Edwards should race a stable in Suffolk Downs.
That's correct.
Well, do you also feel that Alfred Gwynn Vanderbilt should not race his horses in New York because he's chairman of the New York Racing Association?
Yes, I do.
Or that Dreyfus before him shouldn't race his Hobo Farm stock there?
Yes, I do.
But the thing is,
all the way back to George Washington racing at Charlestown Downs in West Virginia.
James Edwards, who makes $1 million a year, do you really think that he's going to complain if he gets disqualified for a $4,000 purse?
For 25, he's gone as low as $2,700 purse.
Well, all right. Do you think he's going to object?
Of which the winner's share is only $1,300.
All right. Do you think he's going to object to a $1,300 purse if it's horse?
Well, I've never counted Mr. Edwards' money.
Oh.
Have you?
Not lately, but I hear it's quite a sum.
Oh, well, I know you read a lot of things in the paper.
You don't like the way they're running Suffolk Downs?
No, I don't. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So on. If your market is in New England, your location should be in Westboro. Companies with New England for a market that have to reach 20 million people in 6 states very quickly should be in Westboro. That is why State Properties of New England is developing Central New England Industrial Park. The Central New England Industrial Park is 300 acres at the intersection of Route 495 and the Mass Pike. It is connected to the main line of the Penn Central Railroad and is only 30 minutes from Boston. Chrysler already ships cars all over New England from there, and Park Davis has just moved in there a month or two ago. For more information, call the name behind the name you know, State Properties of New England, and they're located in Boston. Central New England Industrial Park in Westboro, another State Properties property.
You know, Upton, another thing that we had brought up on this program before, and something that I think we all agree on, is the fact that sometimes in the course of a season or before or after, a trade is made, and the Patriots, let's say, will give up a draft choice. And it's always, or it's not always, but frequently it's an undisclosed draft choice. And we had brought up the point that we thought that this is really slightly insulting to the fans. We want to know if, or at least I would like to know now, if it would be the policy of the Patriot organization to always announce what draft choices they were giving up in any trade.
Now, before you answer that, we got a letter from Billy Sullivan. When he was on the show, we brought this point up to him. Sullivan wrote to the omnipotent Mr. Bell, Lord High Commissioner of Football.
You mean Mr. Roselle?
Bell's been dead for 13 years.
I'm sorry, Upton, really. The Lord High Commissioner Roselle, and he's the same fellow, I'll talk to you about that a little bit later, who ran those Scotch and Soda Sesame Street things for all the reporters down at the Americana Hotel in Florida in the last Super Bowl so we could have complete control of the news. But anyway, Roselle's answer to Billy Sullivan, which Sullivan was nice enough to send along to us, was that it's the policy of each club whether they want to disclose it or not. So I just thought I'd give you that background information before you answer Mark's question. My feeling, too, is there's room for plenty of truth in the world, and I can't understand this, because how can fans intelligently discuss trades? The goodness or the badness, to say the last of the trade, when there was conflicting information all during the season. And that's what fans like to do, discuss trades, pro and con, how to work out, if they don't even know the facts.
I mean, you try to identify with the team as much as possible, and there really seems no merit or little merit, maybe you can point something out to me, why they shouldn't be able to identify with the team on this point. Why does there have to be an iron curtain between the team and the fan?
Well, I think it's like anything else. Certainly I wouldn't want an iron curtain here between the fans and the team. In fact, I think the fans are the people who support us, and I think it's very important that they know what's going on, but it's like anything else. It's like saying, inviting you gentlemen inside our room when we draft. Just no way. Nobody should be inside that room except the people who are doing the drafting. Now, I really haven't given it that falls. I mean, well, let me explain the draft choice thing.
Let's talk about the Lassiter thing, because that trade, the people in Boston were 100% misinformed, and to this minute, I still don't know what the trade was. I don't think anybody else does. What did we give up for Ike Lassiter?
Geez, I'm not really sure, Eddie.
He gave up the second if he played in so many games.
You see, this is what happens again. A lot of times clubs don't disclose the draft choice because they really don't know yet, and it'd look foolish to say, well, we might give up a second or a fourth. It depends upon the boy's performance or how much he plays, or if he plays at all.
If it's not foolish to do it, why is it foolish to tell it? That doesn't seem foolish.
Yeah, but it's not his fault, Mark.
I'm not asking. I'm not asking about the past, Jimmy. I'm asking about the policy for the future. And how does it affect your drafting, for example? If you have, I know it affects your drafting if you have given up a fourth round draft choice, but how does it affect you if people know you've given up a fourth round draft choice? I mean, certainly somebody does. The person you gave the draft choice knows that they have it now.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I really haven't given it that deep a thought. I'd have to look at it completely before I'd say that we would disclose it. Most teams don't disclose it, and as I said, maybe you're right. Maybe we should disclose it, but until, I think it's like anything else, for me to come on here and say, yes, we're going to do it, I'd have to look at it completely, every angle of it, before I would say to you, yes, we are going to disclose it. But it's really not to hide things from the fans, I guarantee you that. And talking about that, it's always been my feeling that you build through the draft. Of course, if you can make a good trade, you will make it. But if you find most of the teams, for instance, the Cowboys or the Minnesota Vikings, they have built through the draft actually trading choices or trading a player for choices. Now, it's really, I don't like to give up draft choices unless you need immediate help that badly that you would have to give one up. It's good to have those first five choices because that's where you make your hay, and of course, anything after that is very, very important too, but that's where you get your top ball players in that first 5 rounds.
You're next on the Sports Huddle and WBZ.
Hey, Eddie.
This is Jim.
Jim, can I talk to Eddie, please?
No.
Okay. Jim.
What?
I was going to say, did you get the score of the game last Sunday?
What? Oh, listen, do we have to go through that? We took enough gas last Sunday, don't you remember?
Okay, listen, Jim.
But I'll never forget it, really, and I hope that Bobby and the rest of the boys have a good time in Florida and get over their aches and pains because it's a long, hard summer.
Hope Jerry enjoys himself out at Suffolk Downs.
Well, I don't know anything about that. That's ridiculous.
Did you see his quote in Sports Illustrated this week? The little prayer he says before he goes to bed at night?
Yeah.
Jerry Cheevers?
Yeah.
Well, that about sums up my feelings on Jerry Cheevers.
Can I just tell you something? You guys really got a great show. It's unbelievable. But,
He's right, Jim.
all my friends around here all listen to it. I come from Barrington, Rhode Island.
Oh, nice country.
Oh, well, it's pretty nice out in the bay. Don't get any smelt down here, though.
I know what you mean. Thanks very much for the call.
Hey, can I ask the quiz?
Yeah.
Is it Houdini of the Hardwoods?
Who's that?
Bob Cousy.
No.
Okay, hey, Jim?
That's 3. What?
Down here in Rhode Island, we get the professional wrestlers down here every once in a while.
Right.
And
Aren't they
the only
fantastic?
The only trouble is, nobody cheers for Dick the Bulldog Brower.
The greatest athlete of all time, and
One
I
of the
think
greatest
Upton
men
Bell
ever to
probably
don the
knows it
trunk.
too. Pardon?
One of the greatest men to ever to don the tights.
No question.
Hey, speaking of tights, did you see beautiful Bobby wrestle Saturday?
Hey, he's really...
Would you believe he came in the ring in a miniskirt?
He's unbelievable.
That's right. He's a great athlete, great human being.
Great.
Okay?
Thanks a lot.
So long.
Bye-bye.
All right, you're next on the Sports Huddle on WBZ.
Hello, Jim.
No, this is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
I have a couple of questions for Upton Bell.
Go ahead.
Well, first I'd like to know the situation of Mike Tolliver.
The situation on Mike Tolliver is this, that Mike has had an operation, of course, on his back and is expected to be fine. In fact, we got something from his doctor last week that said he would be fine, he'd be at training camp and be ready to go. Now, of course, with Joe Kapp and Jim Plunkett, there is a good possibility that, and I would think that Mike would feel the same way also, that he would want to be traded to some other club where he would have a chance to play. And I think Mike's a pretty good football player. You know, a lot of times, for instance, Norm Snead, who came to the Redskins, and they didn't have particularly great teams, and then went to the Eagles, and of course, the same thing happened there. And of course, Snead now, I believe Snead, if he gets a chance to play this year, will have a great year because he's now with a pretty good football club. And I think it's the same way with Mike Tolliver. If I was Mike Tolliver, certainly I would want to play someplace where I would get a chance to play. But I don't want to do anything till I talk to Mike himself.
Yeah, because I really didn't think the Patriots gave him a fair shake. You know, they promised him everything, but he got nothing.
Well, Mike did play, and of course, when Joe Kapp came in, Joe didn't play all the time because Joe had a lot of things to learn. In fact, maybe that was one of the big problems by the end of the year. A lot of people said, well, the Patriots were missing the signals and people were running into each other. And if you don't understand football and how difficult it is to learn, when you come from a system, the Minnesota Vikings system, and have to learn the Patriot system, it's very, very difficult. And I don't care how great a player is, he's got to learn, and it takes a long time to learn. You're in training camp for a month and a half, just to learn your own system. And if you come in there after the fourth ball game of the season and try to learn somebody else's system, you are going to have a lot of people running into each other. So I don't really think that you can blame the Patriots themselves. I think in many cases where Joe ran into people or signals were missed, that it was just a case of a man trying to learn a new offense.
I'd like to know how close the Patriots are to signing Jim Plunkett right now.
Well, let me see. I got to look at my pocket and check my cue card. Actually, I've had a couple of talks already with Jim's attorney and plan to have another talk with him in the next week or so. I certainly hope that we can have Jim signed as soon as possible because, as I said before, I think it's important to have him get in here and learn the football part of it and get the negotiations out of the way. But who knows when you sit down and negotiate with a man how long it will take. I would hope it would be wrapped up shortly.
I was hoping he would be in here during the White Sox series so Plunkett could sit down and have a serious talk with Vicente Romo.
It's really going to sound kind of foolish the Patriots having two $500,000 quarterbacks. One team.
Repeat it.
Yeah, what's the question again, please?
It's really going to sound kind of foolish the Patriots having two $500,000 quarterbacks.
Well, how do you know what the figures are? You know, it really amazes me when people come up with figures. It's like anything else. When you don't know what the figures are, you tend to speculate. I guarantee you there's no $500,000 quarterback, and no figures have ever been released on these type of things, but of course people do tend to speculate.
Okay, best of luck to the Patriots this year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does your company have to have a Boston address? Come on, do they? State Properties of New England has a great new 5-story office building under construction at their Newton at 128 Industrial and Office Park. The new building is in 146 acres of trees and grass and has all the advantages of the country. Newton at 128 Industrial and Office Park is about 15 minutes from downtown Boston. It's located right off Route 128 near the junction of Mass Pike and Route 9. And boy, you can't get a more convenient location than that. The new Newton at 128 office building is ideal for insurance companies, advertising agencies, local offices of national companies, and is especially convenient for our listeners in Newton, Dedham, Needham, and Wellesley. And another thing they have at Newton 128 Industrial and Office Park, and you know what that is? Plenty of free parking. You get your own parking space. For more information, call State Properties of New England in Boston. Newton at 128 Office and Industrial Park, another State Properties property. And I just want to take 1 second to tell you that in speaking to Steve Kopp of State Properties, he called me during the week to tell me that he was awfully sorry what happened to the Bruins games, and he wants everyone there out there to know that he is a #1 Bruins fan, and he sort of chastised us for what we did last week. But Steve, since you're a sponsor, it's all right. We'll tell everybody the truth. We like the Bruins, too, a little bit. Okay, next on WBZ.
Hello, I'd like to talk to Upton Bell.
Go ahead.
Upton, what's the status on Phil Olson?
I had spoke to Phil Olson last week after the statement that he made appeared in the paper, and talked to him and told Phil that he's coming in here the 7th, 8th, and 9th of May for our rookie camp. At that time, I planned to sit down and talk to him about his contract, because I told him that we want him here. Olson is a tremendous prospect. If he comes off this knee injury and does a good job, I think he's going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the game, and I certainly want the guy here. I don't want him to play out his option. I think it's foolish, as I told him, for a man who hasn't played an ounce of football yet to say that he wants to play out his option. In his case, it's not for more money or the typical thing that an athlete will do to try and finagle more money out of the club. In his case, his brother has a business out there, and a lot of kids that you meet that are from the West Coast area, they think that the sun rises and shines on the West Coast, and they prefer to live out there. Well, he's a very, very intelligent kid, and I assure you it's not to finagle to try and get more money.
Well, I have to disagree with you, Upton, for this reason. When Football Phil came to Boston in the first place, he had great dreams, hopes, and expectations of many young people do, and that was to open up a used car lot in Los Angeles. And that was the baloney that he fed the press, and he wasn't going to sign. Now, you can't tell me that he was serious about going into the used car business and not in, Happy Friendly Phil's Football Olson's used car lot, and that he wasn't trying to finagle, as you said, a better deal, because obviously he's going to have to make a name for himself.
No, but Eddie, really, if you understand people, I've known through the years players from the West Coast, coaches, scouts. In fact, there were some scouts I was interested in this year who are pretty good scouts, but just refused to come back east. I don't believe it in Phil's case, and, I've been around football players all my life, and I'm not naive at all. In his case, he likes it out there, and I explained to him that we did want him here and that his football should be played here. I think that, of course, his brother is his hero, and his brother is in business out there, and some people do tend to follow their family ties. And player personnel to take a look at all the kickers, and there's going to be now 2 semifinals, one on May the 1st, one on May the 8th, and the finals on May the 15th. And I don't think this is any joke at all. We're taking it very, very seriously. In fact, the Cowboys have a full-time soccer coach touring Europe right now looking for a soccer kicker. Especially in today's game, where you get a man where any time you get near the 50 or inside that can put that ball through the uprights, that's a great weapon. You take a look at a guy like Jan Stenerud or Horst Mollman, people like that, they're a great weapon. They can keep you in every ball game. As every time that you get near that 50, they can kick that field goal. That's a great weapon.
And don't forget the punters either.
That's right. Now, punters are very, very important also. And today, it's not so much the distance, it's how high they can hang that ball. For instance, you would like a good punter to be able to hang the ball in the air 4.9 to 5.1 seconds to give your defense or your special teams a chance to get down underneath that guy who is returning, because most teams today count so much on their special teams, and they have great return specialists that these people can run a mile a minute and are great runners in their own right, and many teams just have a one man doing this thing only. So it's very, very important that you get a real good punter.
Well, the other thing I was going to ask Upton, when we go over there for the finals, Jim, Mark, and myself, of course, are going to be there, and all we want to know is the Patriots planning, if we really find a good kicker, to give us a night in the pub.
Eddie, I'm sure you spent many nights in a pub. I look at your body over there, and I don't think it'll be any problem for you. It's a question of whether you can get in the front door.
Oh, I'm sorry you said that, because up to now I thought you had a great future with the Patriots. You got another question?
Yeah. So when the winner of the Super Bowl, he won't be the regular field goal or the punter. He'll still have to try out with the team, won't he?
Certainly. The idea is like anything else. When you go around to the colleges and look at football players for the draft, or when, for instance, the Cowboys had their kicking caravan, he still must compete when he comes here. But the idea is to get it whittled down where you think people might have a chance to make your club. In fact, the funny thing about the Cowboys, they spent all that money on their kicking caravan. I think the two people that they brought to their camp ended up making it with two other teams.
Okay?
Okay, Dr. Eddie. Eddie, is that you?
Yes.
I'd just like to say that Blackjack Mulligan will defeat Muhammad Ali.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that in anybody's mind.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, we'll see, Eddie.
So
Bye.
long.
Right now, if the murder of massive, monumental traffic messes have left you melancholy, morose, and moody, issue a mandate to your mate. One-stop shopping without marching all over Massachusetts. Let the marvelous merry men and maids at Natick Mall make your shopping a miracle of money-saving marketing under one magnificent roof. No matter how minuscule or mammoth your budget, it will seem to meaningfully multiply at the mall. A maximum of merchandise for a minimum of moolah. Don't remain mum, Mom. Declare mutiny if you must, and make your move to the magic of the mall. And there's plenty of magic waiting for you at the Natick Mall. 36 friends have taken the pledge to pamper you. And they've made certain that everything you need for spring and summer family shopping is available under one climate-control roof. Parking for thousands of cars. Natick Mall, Route 9, Natick-Framingham line. Open 6 nights a week till 9:30.
Jimmy, I just have a question I'd like to ask you every week, because I pay attention to what you say.
I'm sure you do, Eddie.
Is the Natick Mall exactly on the Framingham-Natick line?
It's right on the line. It is, half of it is in Natick, I think, and half in Framingham.
I see, 50% and 50%.
Oh, that's 100, right.
Okay, thanks, Jim. We want to tell everybody coming up the next hour, well, guess who? Your favorite singing group, the Fumblers, have a couple of brand new tunes, one to welcome Upton Bell into Boston, and another one on the great minds that we have in Boston coaching our teams, such as the Fox and Bowtie and the whole group, and I think you'll really enjoy it. That's coming up in the Sports Huddle. We're on tonight from 9 to 12, and right now you're next on WBZ.
Hello, I have an answer to your quiz.
Okay.
Is it Harry the Horse Galton?
No, it isn't.
Oh, sorry. Thank
you. Do you remember Harry Galton?
I'm afraid I do.
He's a great basketball player.
Right.
And a rebounder, right?
I can't even remember that. All I do remember is the name.
Okay. He was one of those great members of that New York Knicks famous dynasty that never won a championship.
Right. That was a while ago.
That's right.
Okay.
So long.
Is that the same team that had Sweetwater Clifton?
That's
yeah,
right.
People,
Yeah.
And Dick McGuire.
That's right.
And his brother.
That's right.
He used to start after Cousy every time. Every time Al McGuire got on the court, he'd take a whack at Cousy. Just in general principles, he'd take a whack at him. He'd walk on the court, 2 minutes later he'd be out, but that's what he'd do. He'd go right after Cousy.
But as all other New York teams, they had the great Kyle Braun. They were overrated and they never won a championship. And the Knicks last year, of course, were a fluke. I think that was proven.
Harry Galton was an excellent basketball player.
Well, I know, Jim. Certainly I respect your knowledge of basketball. It's so tremendous.
Well, he still was a good ball player.
Okay. Yeah, next on WBZ in Boston.
Hello, I'd like to ask Mr. Bell if he's interested in coming to the Hate the Giants banquet.
Well, I don't know. Is it a physical type of affair?
Well, I'll tell you what we are going to do. The featured guest is going to be Sam Huff, and we're going to throw our dinners at him.
I'll tell you, Sam Huff was in town the other day. In fact, Sam was working with the Marriott Corporation now and doing a fine job to try and get the clubs to stay at their place and give you the type of service that you want. And Sam is now down to 209 pounds.
Was that just a plug that Upton Bell just gave?
No. It was a nice plug for Sam Huff, and we all love him, but he certainly was an overrated football player.
Well, he got that other business going. He's got that summer camp going where your kids can learn to pile on after the tackle, which is a big thing. It's going to run for 8 weeks this summer in Maine.
I don't really agree with you about Sam Huff, by the way. I think Sam Huff was a great football player. He certainly might not have been in the class of a Nitschke or Joe Schmidt or people like that. I can't agree with you. I saw Huff play, and a lot of times the camera would catch him, of course, when he was piling on. But Huff made a lot of great plays for the Giants, and of course in those days their defense was set up to funnel all the runners and all the plays towards Huff. And in fact, in the end of his career, they changed their defense, and no longer did they funnel it to Huff. And that's where Huff was a very active person, a very aggressive person. Let's face it. I want a type of football player like Huff on my team.
Well, he's not.
But Sherman changed their defense, where Huff, nothing was funneled to Huff anymore. And of course, he was so aggressive that he would be piling on. But I remember one of the great duels in football in the championship game when it was 17 degrees and the wind was about 30 miles an hour, that Huff and Jimmy Taylor had that great duel. And here's one thing that people don't remember. Jimmy Taylor was one of the meanest, toughest guys I've ever seen. I can remember him coming on the football field before a Colt game, and it looked like he was out someplace else. And I can remember many times where he would bite, kick, do anything to get that extra yardage. Now, when a football player plays that way, and I'm a defensive linebacker, I've got to make sure he's down and he stays down. And I think that's exactly what he did to Taylor, but Huff got the bad name from that game. And I don't believe he deserved it because Taylor was just as tough and did just as many things as Sam Huff.
Well, we'll argue about that during the next hour because Sam Huff was a creation of the New York press, that's all.
Well, there are some creations of the New York press, but I think Sam Huff was a good linebacker. He was the first Eddie of the mobile linebackers. He was 230 pounds. And in those days, a 230-pound linebacker was big, but he could run.
You know, what about Bill George? Was he before Bill George or before Joe Schmidt?
No, I don't think he was. I think it was around the same time. But Joe Schmidt was only 5'10½", 210 pounds. And Bill George was 6'1", about 220 pounds. Huff was a big man, and he could move. I thought he was a great linebacker.
Okay, right now we're going to split because we have a word from your favorite Darling and my favorite Darling. Darling.
Are you Mr. Foreman, Mr. Darling Foreman?
Yes?
Hi, Mr. Foreman. I'm the disc jockey from the radio station.
Oh, yeah.
I have to read these commercials for Darling's Delicious Frozen Meats, so I wanted to be sure about these names.
Okay.
Now, you're the foreman here at the L.B. Darling Company, and your name is Darling Foreman.
That's right.
Hey, that's crazy. And who is this Noel Preservatives?
Oh, you mean Noel Preservatives, our quality control man. Well, you see, Darling's Delicious Meatloaf and beef burgers and beef steaks are all U.S. government-inspected beef, fresh frozen with no preservatives. It just happens our quality control man is named Noel Preservatives.
And you have a driver by the name of Russ Burger.
No, that's Rush. Rush Burger. You see, he rushes Darling's Delicious Meats to the market.
How about that? Hey, how do you guys think of all these crazy nicknames?
What do you mean nicknames? There's not a nickname at the L.B. Darling Company, not one. Oh, I beg your pardon. There is one. Doc.
Doc?
Out in the shipping department.
Oh, Shipping Doc.
No, like I told you, Doc is his nickname.
Oh, what's his real name?
Hickory Dickory.
Remember, fans, summertime is coming, although it might not seem that way today, and you're going to be out on the beach, and the sun's going to go down, and it's going to get really nice, and it's going to be a great time to have a cookout. When you have a cookout, there's nothing better than have maybe some Darling beef steaks or beef burgers, pepper steaks, New England-style meatloaf. It's really great, and it'll be something to remember, and remember that there's Darling delicious meat products, and they're available at fine food stores everywhere.
Today, send a contribution to CARE in your mother's name. Send it to CARE Mother's Day, WVZ, Boston.
Commercials.
Upton, your question, how many commercials?
I was going to say, how many promos do you have an hour?
Well, we have fortunately, our show has been very well received by some paying sponsors, which helps keep us on the air, and boy, are we ever appreciative. As a matter of fact, let me tell you who brought you this hour.
Natick Mall, where 35 friends have taken the pledge to pamper you in springtime comfort. Route 9, Natick-Framingham line, now open 6 nights a week. State Properties of New England, the name behind the names you know. L.B. Darling Company, maker of Darling's Darling delicious meat products at fine food stores everywhere, and Yokin's, the sporting man's restaurant to treat his family to a great meal.
And now the Sports Huddle switches to one of its 10 o'clock features, Streeter Stewart in the news, and we'll be back with more Sports Huddle right up until midnight.
It's Sunday evening, and this is VZ Sports Huddle.
And welcome back to the Sports Huddle. My name is Eddie Andelman, along with Jim McCarthy and Mark Witkin, and we also have new Pats general manager, New England Patriots general manager, Upton Bell, with us as our special guest. And right now, Mark, who brings us this hour of the Sports Huddle?
The Golf House in Norwell and Saugus, the professional golf people for the everyday golfer. Taymors of Brockton, where generations have bought name-brand shoes at great savings since 1911.
Standard Electric Supply Company, 269 Lexington Street, Waltham, now featuring outdoor lighting and portable electric outdoor kitchens, and Peter Fuller Cadillac Olds, where it doesn't cost any more to go first class.
And, you know, we just made contact during the news with a voice that I know will be familiar to all you New England fans. It's Ralph Babe Rubenstein down in Florida. And, of course, who else knows more about horses than the Babe? And sometime during this hour, we're going to get the Babe on the phone and find out his opinion of the Kentucky Derby. And then after he gets through, I'll give you the positive winner because I happen to know this information. As year in and year out, I've had the Derby winner for I don't know how many years I can remember. Let's see, maybe 10 years.
I've known you for about 6, Eddie, and
maybe 10 years
winner every year.
I know. And I'm going to give it so everybody can go out there and help do their little bit to beat crime in New England. Right now, you're next on WBZ in Boston. Hello?
Hi, Eddie.
Yes.
I've got an answer on a couple of questions.
Okay.
The answer, I think, would be Hammer and Hank, Henry Armstrong.
No, I'm awfully sorry.
H.H.?
H.H. is the nickname, the initials have the nickname H.H.
Couldn't we give a hint on this thing?
Yes,
Couldn't you tell the sport?
All right. The sport is played with a spheroid. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, what's your question?
What happened to Patriots Director of Player Personnel, Romy Loud, and Maurice Lewis?
Muhammad Ali-Wilt has been promoted to Director of Pro Scouting, and what he is going to do is look at the pro teams year-round, develop the same type of scouting system that we now have for the colleges, where he will look at the different teams for cuts, waivers, trades, things like that, because it's so important if you're going to make a trade in your own league or out of your own league that you know as much on the player as possible. Just like when you go into the draft, you want exact height, weight, speed, the guy's mental ability, his physical ability, everything else. Well, it should be the same way, for instance, if I pick up the phone and talk to Jim Finks in Minnesota and discuss a prospect, I'd like to have the same information on that boy that we're talking about as we do on college players. So this is the idea, and I think it's one of the first full-time pro scouting departments.
How about Maurice Lewis?
Right. Where's Maurice Lewis gone?
Well, he was one of your tight ends last year, Upton. What's the matter with you?
He was one of our tight ends.
I thought he was the newsman at WBC. Are you talking about the newsman?
Right.
Well, I think Maurice is probably off tonight.
I haven't heard him for quite a while.
Oh, no, I saw him around here last week.
I think he filled in the 5 to 6 news in the evening last week.
Okay. He's probably gathering some news. There's probably a big story breaking.
Okay, so Hammer and Hank doesn't win anything.
No, I'm awfully sorry, really. It's got to be the one that we're thinking of. But don't forget, the game is played in a spheroid, with a spheroid.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Upton, it's awfully hard for me to get thinking about Bucko Kilroy as a friend rather than as an enemy. I grew up near Pittsburgh, and as long as I can remember, the Steelers, you know, when they were playing the Eagles, always had to face Bucko Kilroy. Was he as mean as a player as allegedly? I remember, I believe as a kid, a national publication, I think it was Life magazine, once did a piece on Bucko, if I'm not sure, and it wasn't very complimentary. They always, you know, they said what a rough and tough guy he was, but boy, what a ball player.
Well, he was a terrific player, and Bucko was an all-out guy, and in fact, that's one of the things that the type of people we're looking to bring in here. He's a very aggressive guy that everything he's ever done in his life, he's done to the nth degree. The way he played football, of course, in those days, in fact, Bucko still has a mark on his face, a cleat mark, from those days when you wore no face mask. And every time he played, he was one of the most feared defensive linemen in football.
Well, what was he when he told me that we're leaving for England Thursday night and he wants me to wear pads? What was he going to go one-on-one with me in the aisle?
That's a 6-hour flight. You better be careful, Eddie.
Well, you know who used to talk very highly, because he played with him naturally, is Jess Richardson. They played together in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and actually, Bucko is one of the few ex-players or coaches who has gone on to become a great scout. And I think it's just part of a man's nature. It's how you're brought up. It's how badly you want to do the job, whether it's in the physical part of football itself or in the front office. And Bucko's always been like that. Here's a man who's had more experience, yet he's only 49 years old. He's a real young guy. He played for the Eagles. He was their first director of player personnel. He then went to the Redskins, put their system in there, and of course went to Dallas and learned one of the most complex scouting systems in pro football, and yet always kept on top of it. And it's one of the failings of all of us as we get older to tend to let things get behind. But Bucko has actually stayed ahead of everything, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted him here.
Well, we want to tell you, fans, about a new sponsor of the Sports Huddle, the very fine Standard Electric Company, located at 269 Lexington Street in Waltham. And they've been in business for over 20 years, serving the public with built-in items for the home. At Standard Electric Supply, you'll find new-tone intercom systems, range hoods, and built-in vacuum cleaner systems. Standard Electric also has lighting for both in-home and garden patios. Standard Electric Supply in Waltham is now featuring an electric portable outdoor kitchen. And this particular kitchen is something that they have patented, and they have an exclusive distributorship in the New England area. This outdoor kitchen cooks everything with a hickory smoke flavor. It's great for apartments. Listen to that, apartments, and everything cooked outdoors. The portable kitchen has permanent charcoal. There is no flame and no smoke. The portable kitchen is electric and plugs in a 120-volt house current. As a matter of fact, the portable kitchen is a great Mother's Day gift. See the portable outdoor kitchen now at Standard Electric Supply Company, 269 Lexington Street in Waltham. Their phone number is 893-1050. And with the summer coming up, I can't think of a better gift for Mom. You go to Standard Electric Supply Company, and they have a retail division right in front of the store, plenty of free parking, and boy, what a present that'll make for Mother's Day. Barbecue, hot dogs, and hamburgers. Boy, the summer is coming. Red Sox losing doubleheaders, the whole bit. Standard Electric Supply Company. Well, I just was informed that we're a little behind on the calls, and so here on behalf of all you intellects is Jim McCarthy.
Hello. You're next.
Right.
Elio.
Yes. Got the answer to your quiz.
Okay.
Is it Hammer and Hank Greenberg?
No, it isn't. We've had that about 12 times so far in the past half hour.
Ah.
But it was a good guess, kid.
Yeah.
What else is new?
What do you think about the Ali and the Ali fight with Chamberlain?
I don't know. If I read the papers, I'd hear, it would be a big farce. But that thing I saw on television last night was no great fight either. The Bob Foster-Anderson fight.
Yeah.
I personally don't believe that Wilt will get into the ring with Cassius or Muhammad Ali because I don't think that Wilt would let himself in for any sort of humiliation. I don't think he's the type of guy that would take a chance on that.
Well, I don't know whether it'd be humiliation. You know, I played against Wilt in high school, and I remember the time driving down the lane when he was about 15, 16 years old, and he just stuck his hand out and hit me in the mouth and knocked my front tooth out. And the man is one of the most powerful men I've ever seen and one of the great athletes. In fact, in high school, he was the Philadelphia area decathlon champ, and some people talked about him going to the Olympics from high school. Everything that he ever tried, I can remember the time that Bill Nieder, a few people will remember, came to town. He had just won the Olympics in the shot put and came to try in his first pro boxing bout, and he supposedly was in a tavern one night and was bragging of how great an arm wrestler he was. In fact, he had defeated everybody that he ever arm wrestled. And as you know, arm wrestling is a combination of quickness and strength. And somebody called Chamberlain, got him on the phone, and he came down there in a split second, put Nieder down, who was 265 pounds. And, of course, he's had no experience in boxing, and that's probably the most demanding game of them all for a single individual. And certainly Clay would have the edge on him, but if you think of a man that big with that type of quickness, of course, he's aged somewhat since his earlier years. I think there would be a possibility that if he did get lucky and ever hit him with those arms, because here's a man who weighs 300 pounds and still at age 34 can move pretty good. So I wouldn't say it's a complete farce, at least in my opinion. Once an athlete, always an athlete. I can remember Gus Johnson, and when he first came to Baltimore, Don Shula, who was the new head coach there, wanted to get Johnson to come out and try out because he was such a fantastic athlete. And whether he had the toughness or not, I don't know. But if you start with the athletic ability, you always have a chance.
I can't see why everybody is so offended. I mean, you read the newspapers and hear some of the sports commentators, and they think it's a disgrace. I wouldn't think it was a disgrace because the man's never tried it. Who knows what Wilt Chamberlain can do? And I'll tell you one thing, if he was a 5th or a 10th to 1 shot, I'd throw away a few bucks because the guy has amazing strength. And I'm not sure how Cassius reacts when anyone would hit him anyway, and I'm not sure that he couldn't finish Cassius off right away.
And the real laugh is, I think, Eddie, that and Mark and Upton, is some of these people that are writing what a travesty it is on the sporting public. People that really know very little about fights to begin with. I guarantee these are sports writers, haven't gone to 15 in their whole life. And then there are so many travesties in sports as it is. That's the second time I've used that word. But
It's a very nice word.
Thank you.
High class.
But I really can't see it. I don't think it. If people will pay to go into that, they go into a wrestling match, and they find no problem in paying $3-4 bucks. I really can't see
why it's so bad and why writers would write the way they did, like in today's paper.
Well, I think maybe the way I read into it is they might think that the promotion itself is a farce, that it would never come off. But I know a lot of knowledgeable people that I've talked to that you don't even have to know a lot about boxing. For instance, I've seen boxing bouts since I was a kid, and I don't claim to know a lot about boxing, but I know I told a sports writer in Baltimore one night that the greatest single athlete I've ever seen was Cassius Clay.
Well, I disagree with you there. I think that if Cassius Clay fought Frazier 100 times, he wouldn't beat him once, Upton.
No, I don't agree with
you. Well, that was my own opinion, and I put my money where my mouth was, because I honestly felt Clay in his prime and Frazier, who was now in his prime, certainly would have been a great fight, and I wouldn't say that now. But I just think Cassius might have lost a lot of his...
You know, Eddie, I walked out of that theater thinking that, in my mind, I had Clay ahead, actually into the 11th round. I thought that Clay, if he had stopped clowning, would have won the fight.
Well, it could very well be. It was a great fight, and we all enjoyed it. We saw it out on the West Coast at the Cow Palace. Well, right now, we promised you the Fumblers. Once again, it's the great Howard Lerner on vocal, the immortal John Roberts and his organ, and Richie Barron on drums. And here they are with the tribute to the Patriots.
Hey there, New England Patriots fans. Things are starting to look okay. The organization of the football team seems to improve every day. And one man who's really helped the team is the young general manager, Upton Bell. He's promised that the Patriots will be much improved, but only time will tell. No longer will the Patriots select their draft picks by drawing names out of a hat. And hopefully the Patriots will no longer let other players step on them like a doormat. No longer will the scouts only look at players from Southeast Louisiana and BC. And hopefully the Patriots games will no longer be an unpleasant sight to see. With new people on the team and a new stadium, the Patriots are beginning to mold an exciting football team with the emphasis on winning. Billy Sullivan is finally paying big money to get the football players who are the best. And looking over the Patriots schedule, it's no wonder Phil Olsen wants to head west. No longer will the Patriots have to look for a place to play. And hopefully the Pats kicking problem will be over when Superfoot comes their way. No longer will the Patriots keep a player that doesn't give his all like a true pro. And hopefully the Patriots fans don't have to watch games by sitting in the snow. Hey there, New England Patriots fans, things are starting to look okay. The organization of the football team seems to improve every day. And one man who's really helped the team is the young general manager, Upton Bell. He's promised that the Patriots will be much improved, but only time will tell.
Golfers, pay attention. And there's a reason to pay attention, because right here in the studio we have Fat Jack Picklehouse with us. How you doing, Jack?
Well, thank you very much. Another easy tournament win today, but I knew I had it after the third hole of the 72-hole tournament.
And where was the win today? Because I don't follow golf that...
Well, it wasn't a good payday as I'm used to. I only made $71,000, less the $35 I gave my caddy. But I want to tell you all that I owe my rack of color, fat stomach, and my great golf swing to the Golf House.
The Golf House, located in Norwell and Saugus, is where you can buy all your golfing needs. The Golf House is owned and operated by the people who run North Hill Country Club in Duxbury. If you want to take up the game of golf, the Golf House is staffed by professionals who will assist you in the best selection of golf equipment for you. At the Golf House, they have great prices on golf balls, bags, gloves, shoes, Izod clothes, and there's a club repair service on the premises. And remember, they have pro-line equipment, golf balls and so forth there at fantastic prices. The Golf House will take clubs in trade, and they have used clubs for sale. The Golf House has 2 locations. In Norwell, across from Queen Anne Plaza on Route 33, that's at Queen Anne's, just down from Queen Anne's Corner. Exit 30 off the Southeast Expressway. Call 871-0600 and ask for Mark or Mike. In Saugus off Route 1, northbound at Route 129, beside the A&P. Call 233-9806 and ask for Dick. That's the Golf House, the professional people for the everyday golfer. And on that number in Norwell, I'm going to get it for you because I don't think it's right. There are only 3 digits in the last number. So we'll get you that number in Norwell again. Remember, the Golf House is open 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night daily, and Saturday until 6 o'clock.
Could be a vanity number.
Okay, and right now we have to go to Lee Holbrook for this important message, and we'll be right back with Ralph Babe Rubenstein.
Good afternoon, Mr. Foster, Mr. Kelly. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to place the first phone call in 2.5 years from America to the Chinese People's Republic. If you fail or are billed by the phone company, the general manager will disavow any knowledge of your activities. Good luck.
Whereas WBZ's Jack Kelly and Ned Foster succeeded in reestablishing sorely needed friendly conversation between the world powers, the mayor of Boston has declared today, Sunday, as Jack Kelly and Ned Foster Day.
Boy, can you believe that? Our own little Ned Foster.
Yeah, how he's changed.
Oh, my God. Producer of Guy Manila's show, and he's producer of Jerry Williams' show, and now he's recognized by the mayor of Boston, the citizens of the world, and he's also, he tells me, producer of Sports Huddle, which we certainly appreciate, Ned, a man of your stature, coming in and working with us. We certainly are most appreciative. Well, right now, it's our pleasure to talk with a very famous name in New England sports, and to many people, probably the most luxurious voice ever to hit the airwaves, and that of Mr. Ralph Babe Rubenstein, currently residing in Miami Beach. And, Babe, although I've never had the pleasure of meeting you personally for many, many years, I certainly heard your calls of the races around New England.
Hello there.
How are you?
Well, it's pretty, now that I'm up in years so much, I'm getting ready to retire, but it's good to hear from up home, and it's been close to 3 years now since I packed my bags, and it was a good retirement, though, after all those years up in Rockingham,
Right. Well, Babe, we have a lot of fond memories of you, and maybe I can just recall a couple of them quickly. First of all, how about a little horse by the name of Brass Monkey?
Oh, God, that was my favorite, That was the first horse that they claimed. I brought him on the stage of the Coconut Grove back so many years, I can't recall how far back that was. It was a case where a fellow that owned the Mervyn White couldn't get stalls at Suffolk Downs. And he came to me to help him. He had about 8 horses. And the reason they didn't want his horses was the fact that Brass Monkey was 13 years old. He was going to be bar mitzvah, So they wanted to bar the whole stable on account of that one horse being at that age. So he came to me about it, and I thought of a publicity stunt, in fact, to try to get him in there, and I went to see a fine gentleman that owned the track. At that time was Mr. Adams. Are you listening?
Yes, sir, babe.
And I brought the story to him, and, he was a real thriller, that horse. He dropped back in a race of 1.25 miles. He'd be 25 lengths left going into the back stretch. And my calls, and when I first met the horse, I was calling the races in Florida back in 40 years ago. And in those days, they didn't have a booth on the roof. We used to call right in the press box, which was down in the grandstand. And the attendants of the public would be right next to me, and I had to go on and make my call. Well, there was a couple of Italians standing next to me when the race was running, and I was hollering Brass Monkey is last, in the call of the race. So the next time I called, they said, Brass Monkey's moving, now he's moving up into 6th place. So some voices started yelling, Italian voices hollering, that's a Brass Monkey, he says, he's a coming up. So I start picking it up. Instead of calling it my normal way, I said, it's a brassida monkey. He's a flying on the outside. And he come on and won. And he followed me into New England. And then the story came where I brought him to get the stalls. I got him in Mr. White to bring. He's still alive, Mr. White. I met him at Kylie a couple of weeks ago. And I got the stable in there with the promise that he would retire that horse. Well, the retirement was to go into Coconut Grove. And believe me, they never had so many people in that ill-fated place, because 2 years later, you know what happened there. It was a terrible thing. The place burned down. A lot of people were killed there. And we run the place. You couldn't get in. It was packed. And there was so much publicity to it that we were on coast to coast. At that time, there was, instead of ABC, there was Mutual Broadcasting System besides NBC and CBS. And they took the race, and I used it on the air, you know.
Right.
And the horse was brought onto the stage, and he was a beautiful-looking animal, and we had him all polished up. And we had the jockey that used to ride him, and Berger ride him onto the stage. And the ceremonies were beautiful, and the people bought him for a small sum, I don't recall how much. And they put him on the farm, and that was the first time a racehorse was ever brought into a nightclub stage. And that was the retirement of Brass Monkey. What else you want to know?
Well, I just wanted to quickly say, first of all, the other guy that started that phrase, he nailed him. Is that yours?
You mean in the running of the calls?
Right.
Yeah, well, you know, I've always tried to live the races, as I called them, and my many friends, and I meet them all in Florida during the winters from years back. You know, I used to try to live the race the way I saw it, and like I'd say, a horse is beginning to move. He's coming like the wind, you know, and he's picking them up and he's laying them down. And so one day I was calling the race, and there was a horse in front, and he was a favorite. And underneath where I was working under the announcer's booth was a press box. And there was a good friend of mine down there, was a custodian, and he was betting on the favorite in the race. He was a favorite player, you know, and I didn't know who he was playing, but I don't know what made me say this, but as they came into the stretch, this horse was on the lead, this favorite. He's 3 lengths in front at the 8th pole. And whatever this other horse's name was, I said, he's moving like the wind. He's coming up on the outside. He's just a half a length away. Now they got about 70 yards to go. And it stays there in front. This favorite's out there in front, but here comes this horse on the outside. It's going to be close. He nailed him. He got him in the last stride. He beat him. And so the race was over, and unbeknownst to me, underneath me in the press box, this fellow was betting on the favorite. Poor Mickey Brooks, he passed away last year. A wonderful man. He looked up at the roof, the ceiling, you know, and Mickey and Sam McCracken from the Globe and Jerry Sullivan from the Traveler were sitting there, and they said, you know, that Rubenstein, he's not only wants to be a caller, he's now a carpenter. He's on, and he nailed him. And that's where that call started. And since then, and not immediately after that, but the last 5-6 years, I've been hearing the calls, and I sit back here in the football games and basketball and baseball, and they're hollering, he nailed him, and I never heard it before that, because I'll tell you, when that year was over, I was honored at a dinner, and the newspaper writers gave me, I got a bad cold, and it gave me a trophy, a microphone that Sam McCracken's daddy had made, a microphone with gold-plated nails, you know, he nailed them as a gift, you know, and I treasured that. But every time I hear these fellow hollers, he nailed him, that's when I think of that story, about that horse.
Dave, I'll tell you why we called. We were looking for somebody who knows racing, and of course the Derby is coming up Saturday, and our show is only on Sundays.
Yeah.
But I know you saw a lot of the horses in Florida, and you're a pretty good guy at predicting horses. Could you give 1 or 2 predictions for the New England sports fans who are trying to break up organized crime here?
What do you want? But what's the horses got to do with organized crime?
Well, we want a winner, so we can stomp out organized crime.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, this, in all my years, you know, I lived in Kentucky before I came to New England, And I lived right near Louisville, and I used to love to go there. I saw many derbies, and I can recall some great races. But this year, the worst bunch of bums that ever run in the race is in that race. And believe me when I tell you, if any horse wins and he pays under 4 to 1, then I don't know I'm alive. In other words, it's a wide open race.